I've lost count of the times you lot have told me in the comments over the last few days that the jump up to the Championship is going to be hard. So, in the spirit of that, this season's buzzword, cliche, bingo nonsense, the phrase you're looking for is, I've taken this club as far as I can. Goals for this season, still be Southend manager at the end of it. That'd be quite nice. Although, we have a non-league to legend FM2016 throwback today, because our first game of the Championship season is away against Ipswich. We're going to learn a lot today about how hard this season's going to be. Hello and welcome to Season 6, Part 1 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kev, and coming up on today's episode, we're up against last season's team of Non-League to Legend. It was the one we spent the most time at, Ipswich. Last year, we started at Ipswich as they were a lower Championship team and took them to Europa League glory and second in the Premier League. This year, our first encounter with Ipswich is probably going to be somewhat different. It's been a difficult summer. Let's leave it at that for now. There has been transfer business, but the transfer business hasn't been significant enough for the media to predict anything other than relegation. Other managers telling me that we're not cut out for this league, and I have to admit we're probably not going to be strong enough. We've not been able to bring in every type of player we wanted. We've not even been able to spend all the money that we had. We've still got £600,000 in the transfer budget. We've maxed out on wages, and we've had a few player problems as well. So let's have a look at the transfers, and we'll start off with the first of those player problems, and it was Ted Smith. Now, we all knew we were going to be replacing him. We tried to replace him. We couldn't really find anybody. And then we got, about a week, 10 days ago, Brentford came in with an offer for him. Now, Brentford are a fellow Championship team, but obviously a better one than we are. They came in with an offer. We declined it. Smith got a grump on. I tried to tell him that we'd got to keep him until we can find a replacement. He got even more of a grump on. So I ended up telling him we were going to stick him in the reserves and let him rot there. And he wasn't leaving, whilst then going out and desperately trying to scratch around to bring in a replacement for him who realistically probably is only as good as he is, rather than an improvement like we were hoping for. And then Brentford came in with even more money. So we've actually made quite a good deal for Ted Smith in the end. He's gone for an initial £350,000. It can go up as high as 450,000, depending on appearances and stuff. And let's face it, he's not going to make any. So that was a bit of a problem. Other players leaving. John White has retired and refused to come in as an under-18s coach. So despite him being a club legend, he's moved on. I don't know if he's found another club yet. He hasn't. I mean, I'm a bit upset that he didn't want to stick with us. We've also released some of the fringe players over the last few seasons. Ellis Plummer, Stefan Broccoli, Tara Robinson, James Cragen, Tom Christian Merkins. They've all left. I don't know who John Foot is. Presumably he was a youth team player. Yeah, there you go. He's gone as well. And we have made the decision to let Patrick Drury go out on loan for the season to Scunthorpe. The Championship is probably going to be too high a step up for him, and for the opportunity for him to play regularly in League One was too good to pass up, especially because there's a good chance we'll be back there next year. So if he goes and scores 15, 20 goals in League One this year, we know we've got a good League One striker to draft back into our team next year if we're back down there, which we might be. So the players coming in, let's go through them. We've managed to bring in a superstar. Milan Bars comes in on loan from Manchester United. He is far too good for us. He might even lead to us having a rethink of the tactic that we play, because his primary position is as a winger. He can play on the left and the right wing. He can play in behind the front two as well, but he's not as good at it. So initially he's coming in as backup for Benteke as our attacking midfielder. If we are really, really struggling, we might look to playing with him as a winger, because, I mean, there you go, well suited to Championship football. We haven't got many players like that, so we might need to have a bit of a rethink to get him into the team as we move further into it. We are trying to retrain him to be an attacking midfielder, but I don't know how successful or how quick that's going to be. We have brought in another loan as well. Jamie Hayworth is a young centre-back. This is a weird one because he's come in on loan from Cardiff, who are in League One, but he is good enough to sit on our bench, certainly, and might even become a bit of a regular if he starts to fulfil some of this potential. We did try and sign him permanently. He wasn't interested in that. But we've got him on loan for the season, and if we do manage to stay up, he's someone who we can look to bring in permanently next summer, hopefully. We then spent a bit of money. Josh Da Silva is a central midfielder / attacking midfielder / wide player. So if we do have to switch to wings, he can play on one wing. He can also play up front as well, but don't expect to see him there very much. He's certainly not the tough tackling central midfielder we were looking for, but bags of potential. 3-star current ability. It says only 3.5-star potential. My scouts reckon he was 5-star potential ability, but he's been at Gillingham for the last couple of years. I think perfectly adequate backup to Benteke, can also drop back into the 3-man midfield as well and give us a little bit of much needed creativity. We've also brought in a permanent left back, Tom Field, who is a veteran of non-league to legend last year. I think he was in my Ipswich team last year actually. 24-year-old left back, 3-star current ability, 4-star potential ability. Has been slumming it down in League 2 for a couple of years at Yeovil. I think he's capable of making the step up. We have got Tamelty on loan for the season again, 3rd season in a row. So he doesn't necessarily have to come in and play every game, but I think long term he's going to end up being a good signing and will be on the left side of our defence for years to come. This guy, I didn't sign. My director of youth development, or whatever he is, brought him in. I didn't realise I had that setting on. It's the first time he's done it. The setting's off now. But we brought in a 19-year-old winger from Boston who was part of the Boston team that has just won the Vanarama National. Although they're still playing in it this year. Well, it said they'd just won it. Obviously, they didn't. That's confusing. Where did Boston finish last year? I don't even know. There you go. They finished second. Okay, so he's part of a good Boston team last year. We brought him in for not very much money. I've immediately loaned him back because they wanted him back. He might end up being any good. He probably won't, but there you go. He's in there as well. And then we just filled out the squad with promising youngsters on free transfers. Terry McDade is another attacking midfielder. Lots of potential, not good enough to play for us yet. He's Northern Irish, comes in from Carrick. Very much one for the future. He's just going to go straight down into the under-23s. Don't expect to see him again this season. Possibly signing of the summer is Jerome Sinclair, 24 years old, striker, comes straight in. Would expect him to be the best striker at the club, or at least up there with Martel Taylor-Crossdale. Hasn't played a lot of footballs and definitely hasn't scored a lot of goals. But how is... Okay, Watford paid £4 million to sign him from Liverpool. That's a weird one. Pay £4 million and then never play him. So he obviously had some potential a long time ago, and I would expect him to play most, if not all, the games for us this season. So quite happy to have him in. But then it was just youngsters, because it's all we could attract. We did identify some better players, but for a player who really, really improves the squad enough to sort of displace one of the players we're trying to be loyal to, you have to pay like £1 million for him. We found a left back who would have been a massive improvement on Tamelty, but it would have cost us £1.5 million and wiped out the whole wage budget. And there have been some crazy transfers going on in the Championship. So we're just having to sign cheap and hope some of them come off. So Marc Priceau, 19-year-old Frenchman, comes in from Monaco, where he scored a goal every other game in their reserves last year. He's another one where I don't expect to see much of him. But, I mean, he's as good as Pike and Schiavi, apparently. So he might be in and around the bench as the season goes on. We also brought in Thomas Shiro, an Italian midfield player, who, again, not the tackler. We weren't able to bring him in. Couldn't find one. But he comes in from Inter. I don't know why it's all capitalised. And look, I mean, again, not going to be playing, but one for the future. 5-star potential. We're going to have a cracking team in League One next year. And then all the nonsense with the goalkeeper kicked off. So as soon as Smith decided he was leaving, we brought Norberto Miguel back in for another season. He's now up to 3-star current ability, still on 5-star potential ability, and is better than Smith now, apparently, after a season playing in our reserves. So he's back for another year. And then we did a panic signing. We brought in Jukka Letovara, 33-year-old Finnish international, 5 whole caps for Finland, very much as a stopgap. He's been playing for Bradford in League One for the last 5 seasons. He's no better than Ted Smith was, but at least we've got another goalkeeper knocking around now. And then the last one was George Mayer, who's another youngster, another one we're bringing in for the future, left back, Welsh under-21 international, comes in from Crystal Palace, and I mean, he's our 6th choice left back. That says a lot about him. So Really not the best summer of transfers. We do still have money to spend, but I can't find anyone to spend it on. If you remember the restrictions I placed on myself, it's not as simple as going to the player search screen and identifying the players that we want. We have to see who's scouted, and this was the best. It was a combination of the best we could find from the players that were scouted, along with the players who we could bring in for a reasonable price, because we're still trying to be financially prudent. We're only going to have this one season in the Championship probably, so we don't want to bankrupt the club when we go back down. And at the same time, we didn't want to blow the whole budget on one or two players, which in the end is kind of what we've done anyway. So perhaps what we should have done is spent 750,000 on two better players and used up the budget. I don't know. I've never done this. Well, certainly not for 3 or 4 years of Football Manager. I've never done this League One into Championship promotion before. I usually do it by changing jobs. So I don't really know what to expect, although I do expect it to not end very well. In addition to this, we've got Harry Hamblin on loan for another season as well, and Rob Tomelty. They were extensions, so don't show up on that screen. So this is what the squad looks like. If we just get rid of the under-23s and the under-19s and just show you the shape of the squad with the star ratings, goalkeeper is still going to be a problem for us this season. Defensively, there are some standout stars. Richard Keogh's still around because we couldn't find anyone better. But, I mean, there's a lot of sort of 2.5 star ratings in there. There's not many players who are up there with Jerome Sinclair or Gedeon Zalalim as being sort of 4-star players at this level. Promisingly, Jackson and Anderson look like they're capable of making a step up, so we might be all right defensively, but with a weak goalkeeper behind him. And Josh Grant's coming along nicely, but I'm really pessimistic about this season. It's a total flipping it on its head from how it's been recently. And then we've had loads of injuries hit as well. So Tomelty's injured and out for 5 weeks. Richard Keogh's out for 5 weeks. Loney centre-back Haworth, how do you say his name? He's out for 5 weeks. Josh De Silva, new signing, out for 4 weeks and suspended. Taylor Crossdale picked up an injury, tore his hamstring. He's out for the first couple of months of the season. Raquel Pike's still got his torn cruciate ligament. So this is the team that we've managed to put together for our first day of the season. And it doesn't look massively different to the team from last year. In fact, in places, it probably looks a little bit weaker. The only newbies who are in that team are Tom Field at left back and Jerome Sinclair up front. Marriott wouldn't have been a first choice for us last year. Hamblin probably wouldn't have been a first choice for us last year. Miguel wasn't first choice for us last year. There's a strong argument that that side is weaker than the one that we started last season with. We are going to get torn apart by Ipswich. So the team is Miguel in goal, a back four of Field, Anderson, Jackson and Grant. Midfield, they're the defence, not the midfield. This is the midfield. Midfield of Cool, Hamblin, Zelalim with Benteke in behind Marriott and Sinclair. If we can avoid getting embarrassed too often, I'll be happy. And that's pretty much what the board said to me as well. They're just looking for us to fight bravely against relegation. I know there's a screen that tells me that, but is it that one? Let's go in there. Fight bravely against relegation. So we're probably not going to get sacked even if we do go back down. And I think although the transfers weren't great for making us a competitive Championship team, we were signing with the future in mind. So if we do go back down, we can probably afford to sell some of the better ones who'll want to stay in the Championship and have suitable replacements coming through. Long-term planning and financial prudence from me. Who'd have thought? So let's get into the game then. Hopefully not embarrass ourselves too much. Submit the team, give them squad numbers, yay. There you go, Priso is going to be on the bench for us today. One of the youngsters who we didn't expect to be involved because of injuries. I was going to sell Schiavi, but he's now going to be our first reserve at striker for a little while until Taylor Crossdale's fit again. So let me know in the comments, in light of the fact we are probably the worst team in the division, we've just gone 1-0 up. Jerome Sinclair's scored after 8 minutes of his debut. I was going to say, should we be looking at rethinking the tactic, going for something defensive and just going places, trying not to lose? There is the part of me, the Kev part of me, that is thinking, let's just go attack. Sometimes we'll lose, sometimes we'll win. We'll probably still go down, but it'll be good fun and we'll be playing attacking football. And, I mean, we're top of the league. So let's do that one. Zellalim gets the tackle in. Marriott loses out. And, he wins it back, though. There you go. That's a proper defensive forward for you. I mean, some of these players might just decide to make the step up and be awesome. Grant does well to get the ball, crosses it in, and Ipswich are coming at us again, but Cool picks it up in midfield to Zellalim. Sinclair, look, we're passing the ball around nicely. It still looks like we're playing in League One here. I don't know how good Ipswich are. This might not be indicative of how the season as a whole is going to go, but Benteke's in, and with 10 minutes on the clock, after pessimistic Kev did his little miserable first 10 minutes of the episode, we're 2-0 up away from home on the first day of the season. Do I have to go back and re-record all that first bit? Am I making myself look like an idiot now? I mean, I suppose there is something to be said for not shaking the team up too much. Sinclair does well to win that, but then misses out. And Ipswich are coming at us now, and surely it's not going to take too much for them to put us under pressure. And we're going to concede goals. We've conceded lots of goals in our 2 title-winning seasons in lower divisions. That's not going to stop now. What is positive, though, is if we can continue scoring goals at the rate we've been scoring. We've scored over 100 goals in both the last 2 seasons. I guess if we can score 100 goals again, yes, we're probably not going to get promoted because we'll concede 80 or 90. But, that'll be enough for mid-table. And what an exciting mid-table team will be. They're coming at us again. And that's just hideous. Miguel had no idea what to do there. The cross comes in. It's beautifully placed between him and our defenders with their striker just hovering around in between. He doesn't know whether to come or not. He decides not to. He probably should have done. In the end, he doesn't move at all. That's going to be a problem this season. We've got £500,000 to spend. We are actively trying to find a goalkeeper to spend that money on, even though we've brought 2 in already. But I just can't find a proper championship quality goalkeeper for £500,000. Such a thing doesn't exist. They're obviously an expensive commodity. Right, Cool with the corner. Come on, let's go and grab another goal. Let's just get ridiculous here. Let's have a 6-4 away win on the first day of the season. Really announce our arrival in the championship. Oh, look, Ted Smith was right after all. Brentford are above us in the league. Obviously, he was right moving to a bigger club. Right, more of the same then, please, lads. We've not created a clear-cut chance yet, but we've been clinical with what we have created. We've done all right with possession. We've had more shots than Ipswich have. But now they've got 3 up front. That's always a problem for us. What are Everton doing in this league? Oh, we're going to get so battered so often. And that's a good save from Miguel. It's Ipswich's second clear-cut chance of the game. We still haven't created one. We're in the process of mugging Ipswich at the moment. I think we're going to have to make a habit of mugging this season. It's the only way we're going to survive. Right, have we got anyone who can come on for field? Seamus Keneally's going to come on at left back. That's not something you expect to do in the Championship. And we'll bring Schiavi on. Can Sinclair play as a defensive forward? He's not really much better. I could bring Priso on, or Priso. You're going to have to let me know how to say that. But it's not really the game to be experimenting, so we'll stick Sinclair to be the defensive forward. We've seen him do some good work closing down already in today's game, and I know at this point that we should be switching to something a little bit more defensive, but I just don't think we're good enough to do it. I think we're just inviting problems if we go defensive and say to Ipswich, yeah, come and attack us for the last 10 minutes. Do what you want. Our best hope of winning this game is trying to do that and score a 3rd goal. Aaron Cool is saying, Wordsworth's not going to be playing so much this season. I'll do the free kicks, boss. By the way, I can do them too. And there you go. That's nothing like his real life hair that we've got in there. But who cares? It's 3-1 up. There's 4 minutes left on the clock. I think we might be getting a first win of the season away from home. Surely it's not going to be 4. That would just be ridiculous. We've absolutely mugged Ipswich today. 3 goals from 0 clear-cut chances. I don't care. We've done a mugging, and we're second only to Everton. If we finish 1 place below Everton this season, it will be the greatest season of Football Manager I've ever played. That is mad. Make sure you let me know down in the comments what you think of the summer transfers. I know they're not great. Let me know what you think of them and what you would do now. There's still £500,000 to spend. Remember, we're 5 years in the future, so there's no point player naming because they're not going to exist anymore. Or at least not for the prices we'd expect them to. But what type of player should we be looking to buy now? I know we need a goalkeeper. Where else could we be looking for to strengthen? Or if we can't find a keeper, is there somewhere else that we should be strengthening as well? Because I need your help. If you've enjoyed that, make sure you pop a like on there for me. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more. And thank you very much for watching.